Hi, I'm Martha. Welcome to my sewing studio. Today I'm talking about my fall sewing plans. I have a lot of patterns here in front of me and we're gonna go through them. I am someone who likes to make plans and lists and think through what I would like to wear in the future and then not necessarily follow up on them, or I should say not follow up on them precisely. I will end up making some of these patterns in the way that I talk about today, but not in like a methodical way. I don't like to batch prep things or batch cut or anything like that. I like to sew as the spirit moves me. I have lots of blog posts from past years where I do these sewing plans, and it is fun for me to look back and see what I did make and then things I didn't make or things I made like 3 years later. So sometimes the plans get realized, but not really on a tight timeline. Before I go any further, I have to talk about my haircut. I got my haircut last week and I don't like it. It is so much shorter than what we talked about. She was cutting this side and I was like, hey, I think you're going a lot shorter than what we talked about. And I saw in her eyes that she was like, oh no, I did. I went too short. And she was apologetic, but it's like, what can you do? Like, it's too late now. So we kept it longer on this side and I don't know. I've cried about it and I've like literally lost sleep about it. And I'm trying to just be like, you know, it's hair, it's gonna grow back. One of my best friends was like, hey, it's almost hat season. You're gonna be wearing hats soon. I actually really want to knit a bonnet. I'll put a little picture of like the kind of thing I'm talking about. So if you're a knitter and you're familiar with knitting patterns and you know a good one for something that looks like this, please drop it in the comments. Hopefully not too small of a gauge, something I could whip up relatively quickly, and I have an embellishment idea if I were to make something like that. But I think I'd look really cute with that. I could have a little bit of hair peeking out in the front, tie a little bow, and that might make me feel better. So help me out. Please give me a suggestion. Okay, without further ado, let's get into this. If you follow me on Instagram, last week I posted a reel about the 90s patterns that I've pulled out to sew this fall, and these are the ones I'm most excited about. So I'm gonna talk about them like a little bit more in depth, and then I have all these other patterns here as well. It's kind of a mishmash now that I look at it. I have indies, I have big four, I have vintage, I have current. Actually more current than usual, but it is a lot of vintage. All right, let's start with this 1994 Claude Montana. I'm very obsessed with old Claude Montana patterns. And I want to note that when I bought these, I think I paid like $5 or $6 per pattern. It was years ago, and the prices of vintage patterns have just skyrocketed. These are very expensive now. And personally, like I just generally don't pay that much for patterns, in large part because I have a really big collection already. And I can usually kind of cobble something together, which is to say, like, if you see a cheap pattern, buy it. Sometimes you get something for 25 cents and a few years later it's like a hot trend. I think this pattern is very contemporary looking, and my first order of business would be the skirt. I think the skirt is really beautiful. It has this like contour shaped waist. And then I also love the top that goes with it and the pants. The pants also has this beautiful waist. I think this is called a Hollywood waist, this style of like faced waist without a waistband. For fabrics, this calls for wool crepe, lightweight gabardine, linen, and lightweight flannel. Linen is not a winter fabric for me personally. I'd love to have this in wool. I don't have any fabrics like that in my stash. So this is something where I will keep the pattern out to keep it fresh in my mind and have an eye out for a fabric like that. Next up, another Claude Montana. What year is this one? Oh, this is actually a 2001 pattern. How fascinating. That's the year I graduated high school. I can see it. I can really see it in the hair. This is a gorgeous pattern. There are 3 views, and A and B are more of like a shirt with traditional shirt construction. And view C is a little bit more almost like a dress in terms of its construction, but it's a shirt and it has side vents like at the side seams, and then it's kind of open at the front. And what I love is how it has this exaggerated, almost necktie looking placket. This calls for handkerchief linen. I have that. Cotton shirting, file, lightweight dupioni. I'm gonna be honest, I always imagined this in organza, but I do have handkerchief linen. So if I have enough white handkerchief linen, maybe I'll make one up because that could be really pretty, and it could be a tester version. And if I like that enough, I could make it in silk organza, which would be more of an investment since that's an expensive fabric. All right, now we have this Michael Kors. What year are you? 1995. So really like hot on the tail of this one. And I think you can really see a trend here of these like clean separates. Very clean, smooth fabric, smooth lines, but interesting lines and really cool tailoring. This is a really beautiful pattern. I like the dress because it's like super classic. It's not particularly interesting, but the back has like an interesting sort of cutout shape, and I think you could put an exposed zipper. The skirt, super classic. It has nice panels. I think that would be good for fitting. And then it has a jacket and a coat. And the thing about the coat is that even for the smallest size, you need 4 yards of 60-inch wide fabric. So I would need like 4.5 yards of fabric. It's double-sided, but this actually would be a really great shape for a quilted coat, which has never occurred to me until like right now. So light bulb. Now we have this glorious simplicity, 1993. This one is like so inspiring to me in terms of the tuxedo options. This is a lace inset, and then all these ruffles. We've got horizontal ruffles, vertical ruffles. We've got pin tuck. There's a lot of ideas in this pattern. I will say I'm nervous about the actual fit of the pattern because 90s patterns are very wide in the shoulder. I have narrow shoulders, so I always have to make a pretty dramatic narrow shoulder adjustment, sometimes a hollow chest adjustment because I'm narrow like across here as well. And a shirt like this, I don't think needs to be like super fitted. Oversized might be the look. I am a little nervous. So when I take out this tissue, I'll review it. If the fit seems too boxy for me, I will borrow all these pattern details and apply them to a shirt that will fit me a little bit better through the shoulder. All right, then we have a 1992 DKNY pattern, a gorgeous classic jacket, like wonderful layering piece. My friend Grace, you might know her on Instagram, made this and I loved watching her make it. She did say it's quite oversized and she suggested to size down. So I will do that if I sew this. I don't think I want to make it in denim, but I think like a twill or something like a solid color that's not denim blue would be ideal for me. The other thing I wanted to mention is that when I was making my reel, including these patterns, I was doing the voiceover and this one came last. And when I said DKNY, it wasn't until that moment that I was like, God, I used to work at DKNY. I was a senior designer of print and color at DKNY and I only worked there for 8 months. It wasn't the best fit for me and then I got poached. And I went to work at Kate Spade Saturday and that was like a dream job for me. So it all worked out for me. DKNY, it's on my resume. I'm gonna sort these a little bit because there's like different genres. I've made myself some categories. I have accessories or palette cleansers, which are non-garment projects. I have cozy clothes, so it's like loungewear. Pants, easy dresses. This is a project I really want to do. We'll talk about that first, and then I have a coat. This is the Blanca, and it's from Closet Core Patterns. They call it a flight suit. It's a really great jumpsuit. I've sewn one out of, it was like a twill fabric with a little bit of a stretch. I was wearing it yesterday. It's actually in the laundry right now. I like the fit of it a lot. And while I was wearing it yesterday, I was like, I think I would love the top half of this going into a skirt. I think that would be really cute for fall. I could imagine it in denim or again, like a twill. I would love it in black. And I think the details I would really like is that the zipper goes all the way up and down. Like if it was a skirt, I could have it end at the bottom of the mini skirt. And I love all the sort of just basic details of this. Like I like these pockets with the zippers, the collar's cute. I think I would want to add a cuff to the sleeve. It's kind of funny to me that this doesn't have any kind of button cuff. So that's a detail I would add. And then for the skirt, I pulled out this Berta. I think just a really simple little skirt like that. And this has the front opening. I feel like that fused onto the bottom. Very cute. Long sleeves, short skirt. Cute. Okay, and then kind of in the same realm, I have this one dress that has lived in my mind for years. It's the Peter Jensen nurse dress. When opening ceremony used to have a store downtown in Manhattan, I used to go there all the time. Every year I would splurge and I'd buy myself like 1 or 2 items on sale. It was always very exciting, especially in the early 2000s. I will have to look up online, but in maybe 2007, 2008, he had a dress on the runway. I'll put it here if I can find it. And it was called the nurse dress. And they sold it at opening ceremony and I wanted it so bad and it was out of my budget. And it's funny because I've always like thought about this dress and been like, God, that dress would have been perfect, you know? I looked it up and I was like, this is a really simple dress. I could make this dress. I think the one that they had at opening ceremony, in my memory, it was like a wool flannel, but I did find one for sale in Europe and it is corduroy cut on the bias. Fascinating use of corduroy. But it's such a simple dress and it's kind of mind-blowing, like, to think back how much I wanted it and how I thought it was really perfect. And now I'm like, well, I could just make a dress like that. Anyway, I sewed myself this dress at the end of summer. I think that it kind of has some of the components I would need. It buttons up the front. I could shorten that placket and make it end before the skirt. This actually doesn't really look like the nurse dress, but the components are there. I think I could start with this and modify it to that point or something close enough to get me that feeling. So I think I will do that. Okay, let's talk simple dresses. I don't know, this dress got in here and like, I love this pattern, but I don't know how that's here. Up next, I have these two Simplicity patterns. This is from 2020, this is from 2022. I'm sure I just got these at Joann's, like, you know, for $1.99 or $2.99, something like that. Clearly never taken them out of the envelopes, they're factory folded. I really like that this one is just like the most simple, basic knit dress possible. A lot of room to play there. So I think that's a cute, just like base dress. And then this one I really like. I think that in terms of these like openings, I would only want view A or close it all the way up, view C. View B, I see so many things going wrong in terms of fabric stability. One thing that's a little bothering me about this pattern is I think it looks quite different on this model than this model. In the larger size, there's no waistline definition, but the thinner model has waistline definition. I'm like, what's it gonna be? I would love it in like a black stretch velvet with boots. Cute. This is pretty high on my list actually. And I have a feeling I will be modifying this pattern. Like, I don't know, that fit thing makes me wonder about what's the actual fit of the tissue. I will take a look at it. Okay, since I'm talking about knits, let's talk cozy clothes, comfy clothes. Here's a little Simplicity sort of loungewear set. This was published in 2023. And I have made the pants, and they're my airplane pants. So the pants I wear on the airplane, I made them out of a black rib knit from Joann. And honestly, they're like perfect. I just love them. I don't think I modified anything. I might have made them a little bit longer because I'm tall, but for me, they're like just a perfect pull on knit pant. And then when I was looking for that pattern, I pulled this one out. This is from 2019. I know I bought this when it was published and I know what I had in mind for it and I just never made it. I think this is kind of perfect like on a winter day when it gets dark at like 4:30 and you want to like put on something cozy that's not pajamas and still feel kind of cute while you're cooking dinner. I think it's that. Okay, pants are up next. I'm missing a few things. I want to make the Daughter Judy worship jeans. I do have that pattern, but as a PDF, so I don't have anything to show you, but I really want to make those, and I have denim. If you saw my Japan haul, I have a few pieces of denim, and I think it would be great to make myself another pair of jeans. I also have this jeans pattern. It's from 1982, which makes it 1 year older than me. This is a really cute, classic jeans pattern. My pal on Instagram, Evan, has sewn this a few times, and it's because of her that I sought out this pattern. Really cute pattern, and mine includes the transfers. They're like all crusty and dried out, but they are in there. Okay, this is just like a super simple, super wide leg pant. Would I actually make this? I have no idea. Probably only if I came across the perfect fabric for it. This is a recent print. This is from 2025. Unisex, I'm also dubious of that. Why did I pull this? I don't know, but sometimes when I pull out a pattern and I'm like, why did I pull that out? I'm like, just sit with it because you had an instinct. So there we go. Okay, look at this beauty. What year were you published? She's not gonna tell. I'm guessing late 1960s, maybe early 1970s. I bought this pattern so many years ago. I remember when I purchased it being like, what a gorgeous, beautiful, perfect winter coat, and having the thought like, I don't know how to do that. I don't have those skills, which is so funny because I pulled this out maybe 3 years ago and I was like, oh, I could whip that up, no problem. So I do have fabric for this set aside. I have buttons, I have lining, I have everything all set aside. I was gonna make it last year and then I just ran out of steam with my coat sewing. So this is a gorgeous pattern, really pretty. I do have a few ideas to make my fabric a little bit more interesting, but we'll get there when we get there. Regardless, very excited for this one. I think I'm definitely going to make it this year. All right, and then my last category is sort of novelty palette cleansing type of patterns. So I have the buckthorn backpack and tote. This is a noodle head pattern. I've never made one of these before, but they've come highly recommended. People love the noodle head pattern. I think this is just a really great backpack shape. I own backpacks in this shape that I love. This could be really fun. I could maybe make a patchwork or quilted backpack. I could go crazy with materials. There's many options. And so this could be really fun if I like don't feel like sewing a garment. Okay, this is a reprint of a pattern from like, I want to say the 50s or 60s. I considered buying one of the original patterns, but they all looked kind of tattered. So I went for this reprint. I wonder what year they reprinted this. I don't know that it says that on here. 2008. So it's still an older pattern, but you can see even here, the original was like much older than that. This is a pattern to make each of these stuffed animals and the bag. And the bag. I love this as one object. What if it was that shimmery kind of organza? I just have so many ideas for this. There might be a time this winter when I'm like kind of over it, sick of sewing, don't want to sew for myself, whatever. This one, I'm gonna love it. Okay, and then finally, same kind of idea. This is a recent pattern. I bought this year. Swan, imagine in a moire black silk. Gorgeous. So I'm gonna leave it there. Those are my sewing plans. Please let me know if you have suggestions for patterns. If I said something and you were like, wait, no, there's this other pattern, you gotta check it out, let me know. I'm usually not super up to date on indie patterns. I just find there's like too many out there for me to have like an encyclopedic knowledge. So I rely a lot on like seeing other people make things or people tell me things, word of mouth, stuff like that. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please smash that like button. Please subscribe to the channel and I will see you next week. All right, bye-bye.